Hmm. The Grand Tartaria.
Tartaria, Tartaria. The lost civilization that inspired the architecture all around the globe. Or so the conspiracy says. Tatars, or Tartars, historically have three main origins: Central Asian Tartars, Russian Tartars, and the Mongols. Generally, it's the same region, but they have individual stories how each was associated with the name. Originally, Central Asia was referred to as Tartary by Europeans. The region spanned from the Caspian Sea west to the Pacific Ocean. This area did not include Russia, India, or Southeast China. Tartary became a normal label for European cartographers into the 19th century. In reality, Europeans just lacked the information to properly divide and name the areas in Asia. The Turkic ethnic group, called the Tatars, references a group of people that is now found within the Russian Empire. And former USSR countries, including Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and reaching across to China. What separates this group from the previous in Central Asia is they had a common language called Tatar. This was not some landmass named by foreigners. It was an actual people that referred to themselves as Tatars. There's even an established republic within Russia, and it boasts that many Russian nobles descended from Tatar. The third group associated with the name Tatar is the Mongols. This group actually combines the first two examples into one blended people. The Mongol Empire, at its height, stretched from Ukraine to Iraq all the way to China, basically creating the entire southern border of Russia. To Western societies, this now combined the Turkic Tatars with the Central Asia Tatars. The Mongol name became interchangeable with Tatars for Western Europe. Another contribution to the Mongol name is that Tatars fighting in the Mongol army were the front line of troops, lines of Tatar infantry in front of Mongol cavalry units, giving enemies the initial look at Tatars. Since Western Europeans knew of the Mongol expansion, they just generalized the area on maps, and they didn't distinguish between different countries, regions, or even people. And now, the Tartarian Empire of Conspiracy. There are many parts and spin offs of this conspiracy theory, but we're going to try to stick to the main overarching theme: an advanced civilization that influenced the entire world, hidden from modern history by governments and secret societies. The Tartarian Empire has two great achievements: architecture ahead of its time and free energy. A common part of this theory is the mud flood, a natural catastrophe that buried most Tartarian buildings. And whenever we find these buildings today, the buildings are just linked to the civilization that's closest to that area. The pyramids in Egypt, the Great Wall in China. The mud flood idea goes on to explain that many buildings are seen with half buried entrances, half buried windows, and even art. Many sites have to be heavily excavated before we can see them in their entirety. The Tartarian Empire also helps provide the link that connects similar construction techniques on different continents that have no contact until much later in history. Things like pyramids, obelisks, domes, star forts, and even similar art and tools. Tartar influence can even be seen in government buildings and temples around the world. Another main part of the conspiracy is the worldwide cover up. It suggests governments have gone to some interesting links to erase the empire. Rogue bombings and warfare during World War I and World War II were actually aimed at destroying Tartarian buildings. This was an excuse easily hidden by the wars. Larger structures that weren't easily destroyed, governments just flipped the script on them. The Great Wall of China is the border between Tartaria and China, which is believed to have been built by China to prevent Mongol attacks. But individuals have pointed out discrepancies in this, such as the wall is steep on the Chinese side. The main point here is that those civilizations were not advanced enough to make such elaborate feats, but the Tartarian Empire was. Aiding the cover up story are tales of governments releasing documents and maps related to Tartaria. In 1998, a document was released by the CIA. It was originally created in 1957. The document discusses Russian intentions to rewrite their history, specifically to hide Russian aggressions and show Russia in a good light. The document directly mentions the history of Tartaria, furthering the extensive world plot to hide the empire. Putin was said to have come forward with proof of Tartaria. In 2013, he declassified Great Tartarian archives and presented historical maps of the empire to the former president of Tartarstan, The claim also sources the Encyclopedia Britannica of 1771 as a reference for Great Tartaria. With all of the proof provided by this conspiracy theory, it would be very hard to hide such a historically important empire. But then again, we've never been able to prove a worldwide link between civilizations and their pyramids. We've never found Atlantis, and to some, we've never actually explained who built the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Unless the Great Tartarian Empire is the answer to all of these riddles, still out there, hiding in the shadows of new nations, waiting for their time to come forward, controlling important events, manipulating the world.